What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over the top 10 best characters in Pirates of the Caribbean, and we're just going to jump right in, starting at number 10. We're going to go 10 to 1. Number 10 is Joshua Gibbs. A really awesome character, makes it on the low end of the listing, simply because there's just not too much with him. He very much is a character of explanations, right? Him and Barbosa kind of tag team, even sometimes they do tag team, but they share the general spot of just telling the audience things. And, you know, there's probably better ways in terms of you could show instead of telling, but Gibbs has always been there, obviously from the very beginning. Obviously, Jack's right-hand man. Kevin McNally is a fantastic actor, and Gibbs is just really, really fun. Again, there's nothing too deep about his character, but just a really solid character overall. Number 9 is Cutler Beckett. I gotta throw it into a villain next, and, you know, again, I put him on the low end, and you'll see why when we go into the other characters, but a phenomenal villain. Really, doesn't hold a candle to Davy Jones, I don't think, but a villain that really does, in his situation, he does the best that he can in terms of the movie kind of prompting him up, because he doesn't have any kind of strength. We know that pretty much every character in the franchise would be able to probably take him out in like a sword battle, but that's not the point, right? It's basically power that is his card that he just has over everybody else. Sure, you could take him out, but actually you can't, because he always has people around him. He's always very, very smart. He's always, in a way, even one step ahead, having everybody else kind of do the job for him. A really, you know, and the way they use him, even with Davy Jones, let's be honest, that really elevates his character. He was great in 2. I thought he was a really good, and really, him and Davy Jones were the two villains of 2, but they were very separated from each other. And I guess the Kraken was maybe the third. For the third movie, they all work in tandem. Him, Davy Jones, like everybody else that's just basically opposing the good guys, right? And I think the way they use him the way they did use him was absolutely phenomenal. Gave us some of the better scenes in the movies as well, including Pirates 3 with Jack, you know, kind of in his quarters, which I thought was a phenomenal scene, and the deleted scene that kind of goes back, or goes more into Jack's backstory. That was even better. Sadly, they cut that out, because that is one of the best scenes in all of Pirates of the Caribbean, but that is why Cutler Beckett makes the list at number 9. Number 8 is James Norrington. So I'll be honest, I kind of, when I was thinking of the characters, I forgot about him for a while. I tried to list out some of the more prominent names in Pirates of the Caribbean, but I have to give it to Norrington in his character arc. Character arc means a lot to me, and you're going to see that, especially at the top of the list, how some characters are kind of over characters, and it's because of the arcs that they go through. Norrington actually does have, I would say, a pretty underrated arc. He's definitely a secondary character the entire time, okay, through all 3 movies that he's in, and so he never really takes the spotlight, but he really has his own struggles the entire time, and just what he goes through the entirety of 2, really even the stuff that is inferred, and we can figure out what he went through in between 1 and 2. Very powerful, very, very powerful. And then obviously 3 kind of coming full circle, right? Kind of getting what he wants, but it's not exactly what he wants, right? Because he's not a bad person, and we've kind of known that since the beginning. And the way he kind of went out was that was an amazing scene, an amazing death scene. Him and him with Elizabeth and all that stuff. So he's a phenomenal character. He really is, and I would say the reason he's not higher, even though his character arc is actually one of the strongest in all of these movies, is just the fact that he is a secondary character. You're not supposed to spend too much time with him, and we really don't, although he definitely makes his impact in those first 3 movies, and you could say he's missed in 4 and 5, obviously with 4 and 5 going in a different direction. However, at number 7, I am going to have a character from the newer movies, and that is Karina. I think that Karina deserves this spot. I know that she is not well liked by the Pirates of the Caribbean fandom, that I've just kind of realized over the last couple of years. I will stand true to what I said the first day I watched the movie back in 2017, that I said in the review, that I said in the spoilers, that I said for now, 4 years after the movie is out. I loved Karina. I loved her a lot. I thought she was a phenomenal character. I thought she destroyed Henry in terms of being a character. Does she get propped up by her connection to Barbosa and then scenes with Barbosa? Yes. Does she get propped up even with her dynamic with Henry and Jack? Maybe. Although I would say she's the best character of those 3 in all of those scenes. When it comes to Barbosa, I think Barbosa is better, but she I think is a really good character. She's the example of like a strong, really, I guess the quote unquote like strong female, but just because she's a good character. That's it. You know what I mean? It's not because she's male or female. She's smart. She's cunning. She doesn't really have many skills in terms of like sword fighting, although, you know, if they kept going and they still had them, which seems very unlikely at this point, but, you know, she could have basically been maybe a smarter version, more intellectual version of like Elizabeth. That's really kind of what they were, I believe, going for. But I really liked her. Again, maybe it was because of the Barbosa thing, but she had some of the better scenes in all of Pirates 5, and that's why I'm putting her on this list at number 7. Number 6 is Elizabeth. A really great character. Again, I mean, really, all of these characters, I have not a lot of negative things to say about them. I don't look at these movies thinking to criticize really any of these guys and gals, right? They're all really, really good. It's maybe the ones not on the list. Elizabeth is a really good character. I think gets really elevated in 3. Let's be honest. If the movies ended at 2, I don't really think she makes a top 10 list. I don't think she makes it this high in a top 10 list. I really don't. But Pirates 3 was her movie. I've said that for a long time. That's why I have such a negative reaction when Margot Robbie talks about female characters in this universe, when it's like, are you kidding me? Firstly, the last movie we had with Karina, very good character in my opinion. And then even if you don't like her, you guess you could go to Angelica, who I hated. But if you want to go back even further, Elizabeth was phenomenal, specifically in Pirates 3. Just everything that she went through. She was a fantastic character. Obviously, 2, she was more of like a whiny brat. 1, she was used very sparingly. She was probably the least used of the 3 of them. But in 3, it really was her kind of coming out story of, you know, being the pirate king. All of it in terms of, again, sword fighting, in terms of just being a character that is, I don't know, you just look at and respect and look at and just like what they're doing with. That's her. That's her. So I really, really like how they used her specifically in 3. And even though it was just one movie that she was very, very, very good at, I think that it really was enough to elevate her throughout the entire thing. Number 5 is a duo. I can't separate them. I have to put them together. Pentel and Rigetti. Phenomenal characters. Honestly. We're not going to go having them separated because they really are a package deal. They're just so good. And there's really not that much you can say. It's funny because I put them ahead of Elizabeth, even though, again, like Elizabeth is the centerpiece almost of... There's actually a lot of centerpieces around 3. She is, I would say, maybe the first one, but Barbosa was great in it. Davy Jones, Jack, everybody was really good. But Pentel and Rigetti, I mean, again, together from the beginning, from 1, 2, and 3, they're phenomenal. They're very funny. They're very, very different. They add a very different dynamic to the crew. I'll never forget watching 2 for the first time and kind of just seeing in real time where it's like, oh, like the bad guys are now part of the good guy squad. You know what I mean? I was very young when I watched Pirates 2, and it's like, yeah, I'm down for it. You know, these were 2 kind of creepy, kind of weird characters. And I'll be honest, I didn't really care for them, like the Hello Puppet thing. Like, I didn't really care about it in 1 almost at all. But then as you go through these movies, specifically in 2, like it's like, okay, like they have a different energy to them, even though they are relatively the same characters, but I would say they're better, and they just keep it up from 2 and 3. I wish we saw them. They do fight in 2, obviously, like with Elizabeth and on the island and stuff. I wanted to see a little bit more of that. It was just kind of a thing where it's like they have to be somewhat skilled sword fighters, and we never really see that. They kind of hide for the majority of the fight in 3, which was a little disappointing. So that sucked a little bit, but everything else that they bring to the table, I think, makes up for it. So I'm putting them, again, at number 5. Number 4 is William Turner. Really, you know, great character, I think. I really do. I loved his dynamic. When I think about 1, his dynamic with Jack is definitely something that sticks out. I know that not everybody is a fan of Orlando Bloom, or not everybody's a fan of Will. I think he's got, again, in terms of character arc, I think, you know, his goals are very straightforward. You know what I mean? Throughout really the entire, all 3 of the movies. And then I love seeing him again in 5. But let's be honest, 5 doesn't really count. But he's got very straightforward goals. You know, 2, he's just trying to find Jack, get the compass, go back. That's it. That's all. And then he gets entangled with his dad. And then, but once he finds his dad, all it is freeing him. That's it. Like, all I care is freeing him. And then even throughout 2 going into 3, it's just, literally, it's just, well, now I have to take out Davy Jones or maybe Beckett, you know, whoever gets my way, but I'm just going after my dad. So he's got a very straightforward kind of system to him, but he does grow. He does grow and evolve as a character, and I like it a lot. Obviously, again, very skilled sword fighter. He has a lot of comedy in these movies, has a lot of emotion in these movies. Obviously, Davy Jones killing him, it was like, holy, like that was one of the boldest things I think any movie has ever done, to be flat out honest with you, and I did not see it coming, and when it happened, I was like, wow, they did it. And then obviously he comes back, but I like that. It's actually a pretty cruel end to his story because Elizabeth will eventually die of old age, and even his son and all that stuff, and he'll just continue to do the same thing over and over again. But that's kind of the price he paid for all of it, and he still gets his love, and he loves Elizabeth so much that can kind of that'll overshine him not being able to see her. But still, it is a kind of a darker ending to him. I really respect that. I really, really like that. Okay, the top 3 is insanely hard, and honestly, I have juggled and swapped them throughout my history of liking Pirates of the Caribbean. I've swapped them multiple times, and I believe I've even swapped them right now from what I last kind of thought of them. So these are all bold, but I'm going to say this. Number 3, I'll put as Barbosa. So here's the deal. I think Barbosa has the best long-term arc in all of Pirates, okay? I think overall he may be the best character, but maybe not the one that I love the most out of these, which kind of influences my list here. He's a phenomenal character, okay? I watch a lot of movies. I don't watch the most amount of movies that I've seen people watch many, many more than me, but to have a character that just flat out is the villain, you can tell there's a little bit more to him in 1, but you don't really get that, right? But you do get the sense that all they want, in fact, they even said, all they want is to feel again. They just want to be human again, but you still do get the sense that they are still pure evil, okay? So to have that happen, and then to have them switch it on you with bringing him, back from the dead, or firstly bringing him back from the dead, but then secondly, to have a redemption arc with him, and to build the backstory between him and Jack, is I can't think of it done better, and I can't really think of it done at all in other movies. It was done so well. Seeing him again in 2, and again, is he not as morally right as Jack? Yeah, but actually not by much, at all, especially as the movies go on, because his things or his morals and his goals are, again, also kind of very simplistic. In 3, it's just all about survival, and it's about kind of getting rid of the troubles that they're dealing with. But then in 4, it was the whole backstory of what happened. Look, Barbosa is the best part of 4. Jack is really good in 4, but they rely on him too much. Barbosa is the best character in 4, and also every Barbosa scene is the best scene in 4, including the scenes Jack and Barbosa are together. They rock together. They're the best. So, he literally takes that movie. And I will say this again, for 5, he also takes that movie. He's in 5, I would say, relatively the same, if not less than 4. But again, he is by a mile the best thing about Pirates 5. Easily. It's not even close. So to dominate 2 movies and to be one of the the pillars of movie number 3 at World's End, then also to be the villain, a very solid villain, a better villain than Blackbeard and Salazar in 1. I mean, how can you not? How can you not put him this high? You know what I mean? I can probably keep going, but I'll stop there. He's funny. He's serious. He's got emotion to him that you see quite a lot in 4 and 5 specifically. He's phenomenal. Jeffrey Rush did... literally, he would get 100. He would get 110 on a test. I give him 10 bonus points for doing nothing, okay? Phenomenal character. Number 2, this is, again, very, very bold for me to say, Jack Sparrow. I'm putting Jack at number 2. The reason for this is because I don't think he's the better of these 2 characters, mainly because of how they used him in 5. Look, we can say it for probably an hour, right? Johnny Depp as Jack, you can't really replicate that. What he did for the first movie, and them thinking it was just going to be a joke. They didn't even like kind of how he was acting. They were kind of worried about how it would kind of come off to people. He changed the game. He changed the game. He literally built a franchise by himself. Now, there was a lot of other good things about 1, but he was the shining star of 1. There's no doubt about it. And without him, you could very well argue there is no Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, they didn't do it very well in 4 and 5 in the overall movies. Again, though, I thought his character in 4 was maybe the most kind of filled out. 3 is my favorite version of him. I'd say 3 was his best. 4 was his second best. But I mean, again, he's just, you can't say enough about him, right? Funny, dynamic, again, emotional. Not enough in 5. for sure not enough in 5. They completely misused his character in 5, but like removing 5 from the equation, I would say if they didn't have 5, he probably would be the best character. And if they made a 6, he's in it, and they do it well, and he's done well, and they actually give a goodbye to him, I think he beats the number 1 choice. However, it depends on if they bring this character back as well. Number 1 is Davy Jones, the best villain in Pirates of the Caribbean. I would argue, very bold claim, best villain of all time in anything, at least in movies. Maybe not in games, maybe in games too. I love Davy Jones to death. And also, again, when we talk about simplicity, it's all about love. It's all about love, and it's all about what he lost throughout his entire kind of journey, right? He's not a villain. I've always said that. He's not a villain. He's a character that was caught up in just the worst luck of his life. He did Jack a favor by Jack sought him out to lift the pearl from you know what I mean? If that didn't happen, that all he was doing was coming for a debt, and then Jack just had to ruin it, had to get other people involved, got his Kraken killed, got his heart stolen, he eventually dies, like all of this stuff. It's just so... It's tragic. It's tragic. Bill Nighy did again, 110, no, 150, 200% on a test. He is Davy Jones. He is. The visuals. I am stunned that it still holds up now. The movies came out almost 15 years. In fact, Pirates 2 is 15 years old. And he looks like he's from right now. He looks better in some ways than Thanos did in Infinity War and in Endgame. It is ridiculous how good he looks. And that's just one element of him, right? The fear. My God, he literally is the devil of the seas. Also, let's not forget, Davy Jones is not actually an octopus, and he's not the captain of the Flying Dutchman. That was all them that put that together. Now, was that a happy coincidence, or did that all just kind of work out? Yeah. Did the love story, again, kind of very simplistic, but it works so well. His theme, right? All the music that kind of follows him, Liar's Dice, the Kraken, all of this, the fight at the end of 3, the Maelstrom fight. How can you do it better? I'm glad I made this video because it really makes me appreciate, especially the higher end of this list. They nailed, like with these 3 characters, these are how you make characters. They are. Barbosa, if you seriously break down why Barbosa is a good character and you were to apply that to your own films, you would always nail it. If you did Jack, now Jack's a little bit more of a wild card because Jack doesn't really have arcs. He does. I think he does, but it's harder to really nail it off of that. He is a bit more dynamic, but again, I think that was kind of just catching lightning in a bottle, and that was Johnny Depp. You really couldn't have done that with anybody else. Davy Jones is another one though. You really analyze how to build a villain, how to make a villain, and how to make a villain, and how to make them sympathetic, how to make them almost not a villain, but still dangerous, still scary, still intimidating. I think you look to Davy Jones. I really don't know who else you look to. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion, but still. So let me know, guys. And I had a ton of fun making this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Make sure if you haven't already, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. Let me know if you like these kinds of videos. I can definitely do more of them. And I hope to see you all on the next one.